I have these friends, Dan and Sheila. They're podcast hosts.
Welcome to Profiling Criminal Minds. I'm Dan.
And I'm Dr. Redmond.
And we are back for week 4 of season 17. Episode 4, not week 4, it's week 3. Sorry, season 17.
4.
Episode 4, not week 4 of season 17 of Criminal Minds. And oh my God. Yeah, like we were promised that this show was going to be crazy this year. And this show is really crazy this year.
Well, not only is it crazy, but I was so happy.
Oh my God, me too.
This episode, I'm just going, okay.
Yeah, we are off and running.
I've been listening to our podcast or reading our blogs, but
they are off and running this week. I know, right? Wow. I was very impressed with what we got, and I'll say that.
I was so happy. In fact, there was some stuff that actually surprised me.
Yep. Some nice turns.
Yes, the Tyler Penelope discussion was I had to go back, right? Oh, so really said that, eh? Okay, good. What up? Fist bump, whatever I can do, but I can't do it because we don't do video.
No, exactly. But
and you wanted to talk right away that you put the RRS feed on your what?
You can also get this on the Hidden Object Guru YouTube channel. If you want to listen to this through your YouTube Music or just YouTube now, you can also do that. So check it out.
Okay, good. I just wanted to tell everybody because we forgot to do it last week.
It is quite embarrassing, yes.
Yes.
But yes, now you can also listen to it on YouTube if that is something that appeals to you. More importantly, though, this episode. So Emily gets arrested. Emily gets arrested, and it's entertaining.
Emily really punches it this week, I tell you.
I know.
I had any complaints about Emily last week and her drinking. Boy, she brought it home this week.
She really did. No, I enjoyed the hell out of that, seeing her having to deal with these guys, standing in front of the wall. Very, very much delightful having a picture taken. Oh, poor Emily.
calling Joe and going, excuse me,
calling up David, being like, come and get me.
No, it was like, you'll never guess where I am.
I know. Oh, that was such a nice touch.
No, this episode was just top drawer.
Oh, absolutely. Like one fun thing after another. And we've also got the killer, an absolute crazy lady.
Yeah.
Who we see knock out a guy who turns out to be a cop, and then, viciously beat him with a tire iron and then gouge his eyes out. Oh, I was not ready for that one.
No, I was not ready for that one the second time either.
I know, right? Oh my God. Yeah, that was intense. That was a really intense thing to see. So Emily quickly gets out, and we get a moment of Dave talking to Voight in his head, which I really missed last week. We didn't talk about it much, but I really thought it was a strange choice to not have him be in last week's episode. You really felt his absence, is my point.
But here is the thing, that Dave has explained it the first time we see him talking to Voight. Voight says, well, you're hallucinating. Well, he said, it's not the first one.
I know.
The first time I've done this before. So this may be what is not a real sort of hallucination. It's what David does in his mind to work things out.
And you say that. I don't know that because again, we've established that he's not doing it in his mind. No, he's seeing and talking to people. This is not just an intellectual exercise he's doing. So yeah, he's saying that this is how I'm going to catch you, and this has happened to me before, but it is clear that he is not 100% personally in charge of what's happening. And I think that's worth mentioning.
Yeah. Well, yes, but it seems that if it's happened before, and I don't think he's just referring to Crystal.
No, probably not.
He's done this. This has happened with other killers.
Probably,
so, whatever it is, it's a weird part of his brain, but we'll find out later on as it keeps going.
Absolutely. I'm sure there's plenty of time for us to find out about this element of it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just like, it's not entirely volitional is the point I'm making. And I think the episode makes that clear.
Yeah.
Like Voight grabs his chin and says, "Look at me." And he turns to look. This is not entirely within his control.
No, but what I would say is, here's something. Maybe this started to happen to him a long time ago.
Yeah, and he just
with
hasn't
certain
mentioned
killers,
it.
And he's learned to kind of cope with it.
I think that's an entirely plausible way to read it.
Yeah, to read it that he's going, well, okay, this every now and then this is just going to happen to me, and probably the shock was when Crystal showed up.
Yeah, that wouldn't. I mean, if they decide, to structure it that way and phrase it that way, I think you can completely say that is supported by the text. 100%. Like, there's nothing that would contradict that within the world of the show that they have made all of these years. So I think they can absolutely get away with that one. That this is not a new thing. But I would also say that, like, it is likely more intense this time, and it's pretty clear that he's not fully in control of it this time. If he ever was in the past. Like, we don't have a full confirmation of how it has worked. Because we haven't gotten any details. I'm very excited to see where it goes, though. Exactly. No, we haven't ever seen this before. So yeah, I'm very excited to see where they go with this, because it is an interesting concept.
Yep.
All right. So Emily, so pissed off, comes in to talk about the conspiracy world that Paul F. Tompkins lives in. Oh, I loved it so much.
It's put together all sorts of things. I love the Pepsi Cola one.
Oh yes, when she makes the list. New Coke. The list of all of the crazy things he believes. And for the record, all right, so in case anybody needs to know of all of the stuff that Emily laid out, the moon landing being faked is a very silly thing to believe. It's entirely possible that this one was started by Russian intelligence as a way to essentially... The story of the space race was that Russia got to every single thing first, except for landing a person on the moon. And so America said, okay, that's where the space race ended. We're arbitrarily ending the space race the first time we won something. Yeah. So there's actually pretty solid evidence that just like the idea that the CIA created AIDS, this is a conspiracy theory started by Russians to create discord in America and take away like the one win that America actually did have in the space race. Right. Yeah. So yeah, we can't ever say for sure what happened, but just like with the CIA created AIDS, there's a good chance this one was Russia. The JFK, we all know my feelings about the JFK assassination. We don't have to bring it up here. There's no reason to have this conversation again. I'm sure I brought it up last week and the week before. Most of my conversations are about the JFK assassination. So to tell the story, in case you don't know about New Coke, what happened was consistently, right, for years and years and years, Pepsi always beat Coke in taste tests. Yeah. It was just like Pepsi tastes better than Coke. It always has. All right. And it's just,
some of us.
Well, for most people. Blind taste tests, it won overwhelmingly all the time. Blind taste tests, Pepsi basically always beat Coke. Coke is the drink, right? Because it is the drink that has succeeded because of its, cultural value more than its value as a soft drink, right? I mean, there is an extent to which, and you can look this one up, they can tell where you're from in America if you use the word Coke to describe any soft drink. Yeah. Like if you just use the word soft, like you can tell we're from Canada because we say soft drink instead of pop, for example. Yeah. Canadians say soft drink instead of pop. So do you say pop? Do you say soda, right? Do you say fizz? These are all things you say. And there are parts of the South where the universal term for what we call soft drinks is Coke. Like that is how ubiquitous Coke is. But it was constantly beating, Pepsi was week in, year in, year out, be able to say in their ads, which they did, blind taste tests, the cola challenge, people prefer Pepsi. And it's true. People do prefer Pepsi if you don't tell them what they're drinking. And so they said, here's what we're going to do. We're going to reformulate Coke. What?
No, I'm just thinking about all the people I know who swear by Coke.
No, but this is my point. It's a cultural thing.
I know.
It's because, and it's proven to be a cultural thing, right? Because what happened was they went and they said, okay, well, we're going to do new Coke. We're going to reformulate Coke so it tastes better, because they had made a Diet Coke that they had changed the Diet Coke, right, to taste more like Pepsi. And it was hugely popular. People loved it. It was like, it massively increased the sales of Diet Coke because they changed it to taste more like Pepsi. They massively improved the flavor. And they said, well, screw this. If people love the flavor so much, let's just take out the aspartame, put in corn syrup, and this'll be Coke now. We'll just add sugar to our Diet Coke, and that's going to be the new Coke, right? And that's how new Coke happened. That was their plan. And as a consequence, people now say, oh, well, they were just trying to find a way to secretly get people to start drinking more corn syrup. Right. And the funny part is, so it was a big failure. Right. It was a famous failure. Yeah. Fun fact. The face of new Coke, Bill Cosby. I know. Has done one public apology in his life, and that public apology was for promoting new Coke. It's a fun fact. And then so they said they apologized that we're going back to the old formula, blah, 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 blah. And they just apologized. And that's why we have the quote unquote Coca-Cola Classic, which they had on the bottles forever. But the funny part is, after a couple of years, they just switched the recipe over anyway and just didn't tell anybody. And since, since the early 90s, they've just been using, corn syrup in there instead of cane sugar. And they just didn't tell anybody what they were doing the second time they did it. They just didn't tell, and nobody noticed. They're just like, oh, Coke tastes better now. Yeah, but
yeah, well, never mind. I've been a Pepsi drinker all
your
my
whole life.
Absolutely.
So, no, and again, but I'm just saying,
yes,
you will
forced,
always.
I will drink Diet Coke if I'm forced to.
Yes. Whereas I never have anything with caffeine in, so I don't know what all the fuss is.
Yes.
I will never drink any caffeine. So it's like I've never had sodas, colas my entire life.
Okay, let's
one
get
last
back
fun. We'll go back to the episode.
Daniel.
It's just that's the new Coke story. Also, best thing about Canada, legally in Canada, any liquid, any soft drink you sell that has caffeine in it has to be brown legally.
Yeah.
Meaning, so I never understood why people talked about, getting jacked on Mountain Dew in media, because it was only when I was adult that I found out, oh no, in America, there's caffeine in Mountain Dew. Because legally,
not in Canada.
Yeah, because it has to legally be brown if you want to put caffeine in it as a soft drink. So that's a last fun fact. But yes, and just as we predicted, while they're laying out the case files, guess who's barely holding it together? It's JJ, who can't deal with all the twisted pornography of herself she just looked at.
Yes, a fool.
Like a fool, which anyone could have seen coming. Oh my God.
And nobody knows what's wrong with her.
Nope, because she's
potentially
not.
Luke should, and he's not saying anything.
Yeah, like, Luke, open your friggin' mouth. I just love, or, just check on her. It's not like you're doing a ton this week. You've got plenty of time alone with her. You and JJ together are handling the Voight situation. So, maybe get on the, right?
Get on that one, Luke.
Get on that one and actually talk to her about the follow-up about this horrible thing you suggested she do that she then did. I know we're mad at Luke, and then very much not mad at Luke this week.
Yes.
Because it's a very good episode that takes you on quite a few turns.
No, this episode is very good. This is.
There's a lot of turns this week.
Yeah.
Like a lot of interesting turns. Because they've got this new case of cops getting their eyes gouged out and their badges stolen. And I was about to say Sicarius. Gold Star stole one of the cops' badges last time. Like,
stole this cop's badge. And so that seems
and they're
to
like,
relate
is this
to
connected?
this case. They're not quite sure how yet.
Yeah, but they are sending David and Tara out to look into it. And I got to say, I've really enjoyed them being a team this year.
Well, yeah, no, I was just going to say, this is a good team they've created.
Yeah. Like getting Luke and JJ together. Right? Yeah, like the way they've broken people up this year, like it's very good. You've got Emily running everything. You've got JJ and Luke working together. You've got Tara and David working together. And then you've got, Penelope and Green having their stuff going on. Like these are some good pairings we've got this year.
Yeah.
I'm very happy with it. Yeah, no, I think it's working really well. All right. So
we're thrilled with this episode.
We
by
really
the way,
are. I was very happy with this episode. It's interesting because at the start, Garcia refuses to work with Tyler.
Yes.
Even though he is asking for something very reasonable.
Yes, he is. But
and
she's refusing
because of the emotional stuff.
The emotional stuff, and because she doesn't trust herself, and because she has turned this new leaf and has been forced back into working with the BAU, and she does enjoy it, but there are restrictions on it.
Oh, totally.
And Tyler's messing that up. And he's not going, she's willing to work with the BAU. She is not willing to work with Tyler.
I know. And I think you and I both think she's being a little much. But
well, this time I'm going, okay. Like in this episode, yes, up to this point, I'm going, it was a bit much.
Yeah.
But for some reason in this episode.
Well, because she got to explain where she was coming from this episode.
Yes, she had
and I really liked that.
Yeah. And it was a great explanation and it worked. And she told Tyler, he says, well, is there anything I can do? She said, yeah, you can bring this.
Yeah.
To the team.
Yeah, exactly.
And take the consequences of what you did.
And surprise, surprise, there are none. Because, and this is the thing that the show seems to have forgotten, or well, actually, I say the show has not forgotten, never acknowledged in the first place. She commits crimes all the time. Hey, in case you haven't listened to all of our episodes and you're just here for evolution, hi! Thanks. But every time Garcia went and looked up people's medical records, which she does in almost every episode, she's committing a federal crime. Yep. And if anyone ever finds out she did that,
juvenile records, committing a
federal crime. Well, that one's probably a state crime, but the point is, and if anyone ever finds out she did that, those prosecutions might fall apart. Penelope is one of the worst, hacker criminals in the history of America, and she's done it all while an employee of the FBI.
Yes, except that she's on the side of good.
Absolutely. Because crimes aren't crimes when you do it for the right reason. Yeah, no, absolutely.
Yes. But she has changed her life.
She has completely changed her life. You're absolutely right.
And so this is a problem. She would never, she has sort of renounced the Black Queen.
Oh, absolutely.
Until later on in this episode where she goes, the fist bump for the White Queen, right? For the Black Queen.
But one of my favorite moments happens because of this.
Yes.
Right? Which is, there's this great moment where Tyler's like, first off, she's like, you shouldn't have come in. I'm like, well, you're the one who opened the door. But, you knew who was there and you opened the door. Garcia, what was he supposed to think was, but anyway.
Yes.
That's not the point.
We already complained about that.
No, what I love is he comes in and he says to Emily, all right, this guy runs mercenaries. I've worked with him. He's in charge of the people who went to kill Gold Star. I need help hacking his phone. And Emily's like, okay, fine. Yeah, I don't care.
Well, what she did, she texted Garcia, and then Garcia is shocked when Emily says, I want you to.
Yeah, do it.
Do it.
And I'm like.
And Emily and Garcia's not going to do it. And Emily says, well, then I'm going to do it.
I know. And then, but my favorite thing in the episode is. Garcia takes the phone and she goes to her office, and then they got that extra shot of Emily turning away and smiling a little to herself, because what it comes down to is Emily's just better at manipulating Garcia than Tyler is. They both wanted the same thing. Tyler got exactly what he wanted. Emily's just better at getting stuff out of Garcia.
Well, Garcia trusts Emily.
I know.
That's really at the bottom of this. Garcia still trusts Emily.
Absolutely. And that's how she manipulates her.
Tyler.
And that is why she is better at manipulating her. That's the reason.
Yeah.
But I love that moment. And I love that they let us see Emily's face for this. Yeah. That enjoying her success. Like that just extra moment. Smile. They didn't have to show us that little extra smile. And that's what I liked. It's a great character moment. She's like, yeah, I still got it. I had a bad night. I had a rough thing, right? But, I can still get my people to do what I need them to do. And that's what I loved about it. Oh, that made me so happy. So, I was really happy with that moment. Yeah. So she's going to be off doing that for the rest of the time. We, meanwhile, find out that there was 2 cops. It's very weird because in the scene where they reveal there are 2 dead cops, like, the characters just don't say when they were killed. Like, were they killed the same night? Were they killed a month apart? Were they killed a week apart?
A week before.
No, we are told that later. I'm saying when they are first announcing this case, the characters just forget to say that. We only find about the week's distance when David and Tara are already at the scene. And, by the way, kind of love that they solve the whole thing just on the side of a road. Like, they're just standing out on the side of the road, which I also think isn't where the murder was. I mean, it probably was because it was night, so you can't see that there's this giant, beautiful vista. But it honestly felt like the director Joe Mantegna, when they were doing the location scout, saw this unbelievably gorgeous vista. It was just like, let's just shoot all the scenes right here.
I like this one.
Exactly. I just like being here, because who wouldn't? We're just standing on the side of a cliff looking at these gorgeous green mountains. Why are we going to go to inside that truck station trailer? Why are we going to go look for a police station set? It's California. It's not going to rain us out. Let's just stand here and do all the profiling right here. I loved it. I loved it. It was just such a visual change for the show. The show never does stuff like this.
This episode is a change too.
Oh yeah.
Our podcast. I'm going, okay, we're not getting anywhere.
No, I know.
Well, exactly. But we're just going, and I have to agree because I want to continue talking about Tyler and Garcia and do that whole thing like but it is, no, let's do it. So they get out there, they find things out.
Yep.
On the plane as they're getting there, and then they go and okay, so they know, and then they get their background stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And
turns out both cops. Hey, remember how we didn't think that the guy who gouged out eyes last week had anything to do with Gold Star and it was a jump? Nope. And in fact, no, turned out it was. Turns out it was Gold Star.
Yeah, and I did figure out what Gold Star means and why they've called themselves Gold Star.
Yeah, it's because they're killing cops.
No. It's because in that school, when people did what they were supposed to do, they got a gold star.
Yeah, that makes sense.
That's why, because of course it turns out that the leader of Gold Star, or the person they thought was the Gold Star, or the Gold Star, was also at that school, and so was this girl that we see at the beginning who's gouging out the eyes. And we still don't really understand the significance of the gouging of the eyes.
No, that's going to come up. That is definitely going to come up.
And we know because I don't want to know.
I know, because they were all in on it. It's definitely going to come up.
Yes.
No, and the thing is, they have. What's interesting is, so they have the assignment. They hack the guy's phone, and we'll get to that in a second. There's one thing though that I found very funny, and it's just. Sometimes they give characters filler lines just because somebody hasn't said something in too long. And this new case where the 2 cops have been killed in this town, they have JJ say, this doesn't fit the geographic profile. I'm like, what geographic? What are you talking about? As far as you know, this Gold Star has 6 victims, and they were all killed in their own homes based on where they live. All over the country. There's no profile. It's where his victims live. It's where his target, like, and I know they just gave her a line to give her a line, but you can't expect us to not comment on that, guys.
Yeah, she had a lot. She didn't have a lot to do this week, but that's the way it goes.
Well, no, but I mean,
all of these episodes.
That's smart though, because her not having a lot to do is actually used by the episode to show that people are ignoring her when she needs support because she's not able to ask for support.
Yes. Now, she did want to talk to, and she might have asked Emily, although here's the thing that I think with this, because she went to talk to Emily, and then all of a sudden Tyler comes in and it's Gold Star. So, okay, JJ says, no, it can wait. And then the next time Emily asks her, because Emily does ask her.
Yep, what it was.
She says what it was. And this is at near the end of the episode, and she much more, it seems to almost have learned to kind of trust Emily again.
Yeah.
Because she says, well, no, it's not that important, so we can talk about it later, right?
Oh, I'm so worried about her.
I'm so worried about JJ. She needs Will there. I'm sorry, but she does.
She really does.
But anyway, I think that's what, maybe I'm wrong, but it struck me that that's what they were kind of going for, that JJ was going to kind of put this on the back burner because the further away she gets from this, and what her and Luke had to do this week was pretty tough.
Oh God. Yeah.
Okay. And, so, I mean, and she did have her moment talking with Holly. Yeah. So this is good. And then after that, when Emily comes back to her, it's like she's sort of integrated some of this stuff and already washed it through, and it can wait. It's not a critical issue as it was, because this was the next morning. Yeah. Right. We're assuming that there's just a 24-hour, like there's just they're
rushing through this.
Yeah. That this is overnight. And so, of course, it probably kept her awake almost all night. Mm-hmm. And then when she started working again and doing the stuff that she's supposed to be doing,
she's able to focus, but she's also distracted. And it's not an accident that they show her wearing these long sleeved shirts, just like Holly was.
Yeah.
When we were supposed to be concerned about Holly last week. Like, it's not an accident that they've costumed her that way. They're calling a visual connection between the state Holly's in and the state JJ's in.
Yeah, well, and I would say, I would also say, like, I really like the paralleling between our killer this week, our killer of the week, and Holly.
Oh yeah, 100%.
That pairing was like structurally, I was
the tattoos on the arm versus the cuts on the arm. Right? Both of them have monstrous fathers.
Yep.
Like they're going out of their way. I mean, it might have sounded like a joke last week when I was suggesting, you know, maybe they do Rachel Nichols again, but with Holly this time. But then, as if specifically responding to our episode, that kind of seems like this whole episode is setting us up for.
And I'm telling you, you know, I mean, that's how it feels for us, because we're watching it and it's not like we're guessing correctly. It's not, we don't even think about that. It's just that, well, this is the way it should be happening.
We're following the logical. We're following the logical place that this could and indeed should go.
Because we have
doing it.
15 years. We did 15 years of Criminal
Seasons
Minds
of this show. I know.
And we know this show inside and out, and we have ripped it apart so many times.
We have disassembled it.
Yes, and
then put it back together.
Everything else I'm going. You know. So Erica and Breen are doing a good job.
I say 100% they're doing a really great job.
That's the first time you've heard that from me.
I know.
Including Erica.
Well, no. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, you know, are doing a really good job of show running this.
Oh, they really are.
This episode, just as I said, blew me away, and you don't hear me saying that very often. I watched it twice.
They believably draw this connection. Right?
Yeah,
they make you believe how this could all be tied to this monstrous children's school. Right?
Yeah. Well, yes. And this is the off ones, and
Yeah.
And they do figure it out that Damien, the guy who is
who likely
the key,
is the
they
one.
thought it was one.
Yeah.
It turns out it's these kids.
These 5
Gold
kids.
Star.
Yeah.
And Damien has gone and killed all of these guys because these guys have been sent to assassinate them.
Yeah. And the interesting part is that
and Strauss was one of the ones at the Stewart School.
Oh, yeah. No, they were all at the same awful school, right? They were same awful school.
No. What I'm saying is Strauss, the cop whose badge they took.
Yeah.
That was one of the guards, because was the connection, is that all of these people she's killed except for her father.
No, I don't know that he was one of the guards. I thought he took the badge because that was the one that had been sent to kill her.
Oh, maybe.
No. Okay. He was just the one who was sent to kill her. And he took the badge. Damien took the badge because he knew that she was already wanting to collect the badges of cops she was killing.
Yeah.
Because remember, when he killed Strauss, she had already started killing cops.
Yes.
Yeah. And so there you go. And her dad is a corrupt cop who had murdered his wife. Jesus, this episode.
Oh, yeah.
They're going for it.
Wife. And then taking it, and then stuck his daughter in that school when
in
she
the
went
monstrous
to complain.
home where she was abused, when she tried to complain about it and blow the whistle on him. Like, this show's getting rough this year, everybody.
Yeah.
And we're only 4 episodes in. Imagine where it's going from here. But yeah, like, they don't really get any leads on her other than identifying her because she was in the school. There's a very entertaining scene, though, where...
Well, they identify her because she's not because of the school, but because she's the daughter
of the next
this cop, the next victim, the potential next victim.
Yeah, well, there's a witness to her getting kidnapped by her dad, and they look into the dad, and they find that he has a daughter that fits the profile and has suffered all this abuse all at the same school, and they're like, okay, she must be. It all must revolve around this school. But the thing I found interesting is, their profile figured that she was the killer was a woman, and it's so close to being a good profile. Like, I was actually really impressed. I do have to complain about one thing.
I know,
but it's
you
like
almost hate to do it.
I do, and it was such a good profile, except for one thing, which is that their guess is. A cop would be more likely to pull over for broken down women. A decent cop's going to pull over for anybody broken down, but let's set that aside. The profile that they say a big imposing man wouldn't have to like attack from behind. And it's like, oh, you said that almost right. It's not that a big imposing man wouldn't have attack from behind. It's that a cop who's trained to defend himself would feel comfortable turning his back on a smaller woman. That's the profile. Like, how is a big imposing guy going to get behind somebody for a surprise attack if it's based on, stopping the car on the side of the road? It wouldn't happen. It would only, he's only going to get behind you if he doesn't see you as a threat. And these guys wouldn't see her as a threat. Also, they're like, the eyes were gouged out with a tattoo needle. And 20% of men have tattoos, but 32% of women have tattoos. You know that people who have tattoos don't do it themselves, right? Like, what the hell is that logic?
This is the... And I don't know. I mean, maybe that statistic is true.
I know. I'm sure it's true, but it's like the fact that 2 guys just gouge out. I'm sure more men than women are tattoo artists, though, and that's who has tattoo needles. You don't know that the killer has a tattoo. You know that the killer has a tattoo needle. So yeah, jumping to the killer must be a woman because the weapon was a tattoo needle is such a leap. But no, like, the sneaking up behind him, that's a really good observation, and it completely tracks that you could believe, I see how they got to must be a woman, based solely on the fact that this cop had no problem turning his back on her. Yeah. That's all you need to say. Yeah. But they have this weird line where they're like, well, we don't think it's Gold Star because Gold Star is not a woman. And I'm like, what are you basing that on?
Yeah, that's exactly. Okay, that's where I was going to go. What are you basing that on?
Because under no circumstances have I seen any evidence that Gold Star has to be a man. No. And in fact, this week we find out it's 5 people, one of whom is already dead. Yep. You know, like that one frustrated me a little, guys, because I'm like, come on.
No, that was one that I would have brought up is that was line. A big leap, guys.
Yeah, that was a miss. That line didn't track at all. But yes.
It might be a surprise because we do have an inbuilt bias to thinking men are going to be doing this sort of thing.
These guys shouldn't have that bias.
Already had female assassins.
I know.
In the show.
It's not impossible. It's true. But yeah, I mean, we do figure out. All right, so Garcia has the beautiful scenes with Tyler, where she makes him lock himself away.
Yep.
Oh God, that was so nice.
You know, I mean, it's when she's trying to get, and she needs Tyler there to get the password, and then so she gets the password. She managed to break it open, but she wants him to hang around, but she doesn't want him in the same room, so he goes to stand in the
server room.
The server room, which is all glass, so you can see him behind the glass. Right?
I know. I really liked that.
Out, and that was
that was the conversation that's so good.
That's so good, and then I just went, okay, guys. Yeah, I'm on board. This made this episode, and we will get to the Voight and the children later.
No, that's what we're going to handle last, because it's what sets up next week. No, it deserves to be talked about all on its own.
Yeah, and this one with Tyler and Garcia, where he says he wants to talk to her, and I liked the whole thing from the beginning. Like whoever wrote this, it was 2 women, I think, that wrote this episode.
Really good conversation.
Yeah, really good conversation where he said, I don't want to have this conversation in front of any other people. And I know you feel uncomfortable having me, but can I have 30 seconds? Well, it took a couple of minutes, but still it was good. And so she says, okay. So he sits down, he sort of sits on the table and says, well, you know about like men that are canceled. And she goes, you go in there. No, just wait. Yeah. And you think, as a man, you think to yourself, I'm not one of those. Mm-hmm. I would never do anything like that. I'm not one of those. Yeah. And then I suddenly realize, I look at somebody and realize, a woman, and realize, I'm one of those. Yeah. And then, but she makes, it's really interesting, right? Because she then says to him, okay, you're just apologizing and saying you're sorry, because he says he's sorry. Yeah. And she's, what are you sorry for? You are just saying this because you showed up last night, but you are disregarding the last few weeks where you ripped my heart apart and my trust and everything else. Yeah. And I don't want you to say I'm sorry. Well, I want amends. Well, what's the difference? Mm-hmm. Right? I want you to do things differently, and and I want you, right? And then she says, how does she put it? She said, so it's the patriarchy. Yeah. Oh, she says it's the patriarchy, and he kind of goes, no. Well,
yeah, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, basically, yes.
Yeah. Okay. I'm accepting the term. I don't know what else to call it. Yeah. Basically is what the with the elocution is.
Oh. That's an off-camera reference, is why we find that so funny.
Speech act therapy. Go look up speech act therapy.
Yeah.
If you want to know what
we're talking about there, yeah.
But what happens, right, is, and she says, you have to make amends. Yeah. And what's really interesting, like I went, yes, this is what we try to do with this whole business of forgiveness. And I say, no, you cannot unless you change your behavior, what you are doing, and you never do it again. Yeah. That's the only thing. That's what an amends is, as opposed to just saying, I'm sorry for what I did. And I'm not sure that AA gets because I think people there sometimes think amends are just saying I'm sorry for what I did. Yes, and
it requires a change of behavior.
Yeah, and it is more than just sort of whatever. So Tyler agrees.
Yeah,
that he will change his behavior, and
this isn't just words to him. And I'm like, we love this character. We think he's doing a great job.
Well, this is the girl of his dreams, and he screwed it up royally.
Yeah,
and it's taken him some time to figure out
what let's not get distance from the fact that he saved David Rossi's life.
Yes,
had he not screwed up their relationship, David Rossi would be dead right now, and they'd never have caught Sicarius. So,
and this is good, but it doesn't make up for his behavior because he didn't learn anything about his behavior because he went and did this to Penelope again. He didn't meet her somewhere at a coffee shop. No, he went to her house.
Yeah.
And if I were her, I would have sat there and wondered what the hell he was trying to pull.
I do understand that, but at the same time, you can't actually meet her at a cafe when she's not taking your calls.
Yes, he could have met her outside her door the next morning.
That's still iffy. That's still iffy behavior showing up. I don't think standing outside of somebody's door is a lot less iffy than showing up at their door.
Yeah, but anyway, it doesn't matter.
I'm just saying, I'm still going to defend. I'm saying I am going to remain defending Tyler Green's actions because he saved David's life.
Okay, he saved David's life, but the point is
she doesn't feel safe. No, absolutely.
She doesn't feel safe, and what he should have learned is he can take anything to the team.
Yeah, exactly. And now he has learned.
Should have learned.
And now he has.
Yes.
So we're going to see where this character goes from here, but we're big fans.
Well, he's already in next season, so.
Okay. How would I know that?
Going
you know
anywhere.
I don't.
Oh,
know I don't look at casting stuff like you do. I go no spoilers. All right. But the point is, it's a really good set of scenes. Season. Yeah, but I don't know what the cast of next season is, do I? No. The fact is, it's a really great scene between the two of them.
Yes.
Like it feels great. The important part is it feels emotionally true for all of them.
Yeah.
Like it really does, and that's why I love the scene so much. It really just feels emotionally true for these characters. Him struggling to figure it out, and her, finally just coming out and saying this stuff rather than avoiding it, which is what she tends to do.
Well,
she does tend to avoid stuff. She avoids, and he misses out on stuff. They both own their own stuff.
Well, here's the thing: is that this is what I give Tyler, is that he is willing to try and address things. Yeah. Whereas understand the team
are much less good at addressing things.
Even JJ should have talked to Emily.
Oh yeah.
There's no question that instead of saying it's not important, because she's working now, so she can shove it off into the back of her mind, but it's going to haunt her at night.
Oh, it
so
is. 100%.
She should have talked to Emily about it right away. And then gone and just had a session. All you need is one session with a therapist, JJ, and that would help. But no.
Get you moving in the right direction. So we don't actually get any resolution on the case this week. They connect it firmly to Gold Star, which is great. And when they find Tyler's info finds the hit squad's orders, we find something very puzzling.
Yes.
And that puzzling thing for me is the official file for the plan to murder this 5 people is under the file name Gold Star. So, it's not just something these 5 people have made up today.
No.
The file name to kill them is under the case file Gold Star. The whole concept of Gold Star is a pre-existing thing from before they started murdering and putting those gold stars on the shell casings.
Yeah.
And that's really interesting.
It's weird.
It's so weird, and it points in a very, very interesting direction.
Well,
and I can't wait to see where it goes.
What we don't see, too, is that when she opens it up, she opens up the personnel file.
Yeah.
And it's when she looks at the personnel file, she just, her eyes bug out, her mouth opens, and she goes, Emily!
Yup, because this is huge news.
Yeah.
And as Emily says, now we don't know what the hell we're supposed to think about this Gold Star name. We thought it was just tied into that, but no, obviously there's a lot more going on here than we realized. because it's 5 people. Like, it wasn't a hit team of 5. And I mean, I still need to have it explained how the hit team, maybe they didn't entirely fail. Maybe some of the Gold Star people did die. We don't know. But, right, we still need to know how Damien found out about the assassins being sent to kill them.
Well, that's
right? Probably, but we don't know for sure.
No, like, it's very interesting because it is what they say, when David Rossi and Aisha are talking, when they're talking, right, they do mention this business of revenge.
Yeah.
That everything is about revenge. That's the thing it has in common. And the enucleation.
Yeah. And that's obviously tied into whatever happened at this monstrous, school. But we don't have any details about it yet.
No.
But yeah, it all ties into revenge. But who was behind the school? Who's spending millions of dollars to having witnesses to what went on at the school, assassinated? Like, that's a really big question that we know. And like, how did Voight find out about it? How did he?
Well, no, Damien went onto the website.
Yeah, but no, I'm saying if he knew about the killers.
Yes. Oh,
That's the question. If he knew about the killers, how did he find out about the killers?
Well, it'll be interesting. Well, we're going to find out.
Yeah, you see what I'm saying? Like, that's not that easy a question to answer.
No. Now, let's go back to
the
key.
Yes, please.
And this is that his wife has agreed. What's her name? Kelly?
Sydney.
Sydney has agreed to
bring the girls in.
They've gotten what she has insisted on, which is witness protection immediately. Yeah. And she gets her talk with Voight at the beginning. And so she says, what are you going to say? And he starts with his lies and his shtick. And she says, no, you're not.
Yeah.
You will not do that.
Well, the weird part is, I don't think he is lying. I think he honestly, there's a part of him that hopes that they could just go back to,
let me put it
he'll
this
get
way.
clear in a couple of years,
He knows anymore the lies from the truth.
I think that's a good way to describe it. He
lies to himself so much.
Yeah.
Everything has broken down between Elias Voight and Lee. Because she calls him at one point,
Duvall
leaves and she just calls him Lee.
Yeah.
And then he agrees to what she said.
Yeah.
Because he's going to she just looks at him, well, goodbye.
Yeah.
And walks out. She's not going to let the kids see him. And she calls him Lee. And that's when he just.
Yeah. He can't take it.
Yeah. He can't take that. He needs to be constantly reminded that Elias Voight is a creation.
Yeah.
That is the one thing you take away from this episode about Voight. Really is that he is losing. He's trying to get rid of Lee.
Yeah.
Is losing Lee. He is avoiding dealing with the fact that he too is Lee. And Lee is the one that started him on. Lee is the one who did all the killing, and Elias Voight is this separate persona.
Yeah, that he has created to have the regular life he wished he could have had when he was being abused for his entire childhood by this monstrous uncle of his.
Yes, and so he doesn't want to be reminded that he's Lee.
Yeah.
And I think his brain is literally trying to is pushing. What I would say is he's created this black hole in his brain.
Yeah.
And he is
that is the dividing line between the two of them. Yeah.
Yeah. And he wants to lock the doors. He doesn't want to
admit to it.
He's trying to convince himself that the person he is Elias Voight, and that's not who he is.
No. Fundamentally, he's not.
Fundamentally, he is the other persona, and unless he can integrate those two personas and take responsibility for what he did, he's just going down this. Like, we're watching the breakdown of his personality.
Of this whole creation of his.
Yeah.
It's fascinating that, they've got a great excuse to keep delving into this fascinating character. Because that's what he is. He is really a fascinating character. And I'm glad they've found a completely plausible now excuse for continuing to delve into this.
Yes. So Sydney agrees. So she comes in with the two children, the two girls.
Oh my God.
And so, of course, Harlow just runs in to see her father.
Oh, yeah. She's completely happy to see him.
She doesn't know anything.
Yeah.
She thinks her dad has been railroaded, but, she doesn't even think that much, right?
Yeah.
No, he's going to get out.
She doesn't get why he's in jail.
No, she doesn't.
Mm-hmm.
But Holly
does.
Holly doesn't want anything. And then she says...
Because remember, at this point, the reason he demanded to agree to whatever... The important part is the reason he agreed to do whatever, to say goodbye to them and never see them again, is because he found out that Holly had been cutting herself. And
he's just like, okay, is it to the bone? And you're wondering whether this is because he just wants to know these details, right? No. But it turns out, no, he wants to know whether
is she triggering endorphins or is she trying to kill herself?
Yeah.
Like, that's the key thing.
Yes.
Because they're very different responses.
Yes.
Oh,
and it turns out that she's just triggering endorphins. So, I mean, that's what we know.
It's the less severe, but But the point is, that's why he's willing to say goodbye forever, because, and that's the crazy thing where you're like, it's as long as he gets to see them.
And she gets help.
Yeah. And she gets help. And we'll talk about the stuff with Luke. Oh my God. So, but yeah, when Holly comes at him with a knife.
Yeah, well, she gives him something that he has to read out loud.
Yeah.
And she makes him, and Sydney makes him. Says, no, read it. Yeah. And so he reads it out loud. And if you watch Harlow's face, she's stunned.
Yeah.
She's younger, of course, and she's stunned. And then Holly, and he wants to deny it, and Holly just comes at him with a knife.
Yep.
And they grab her off him and they all leave.
Yep.
And then we have two separate things, right? Because he's devastated.
Yep.
But the two girls and Sydney have left. He's devastated, and then Luke is talking to him.
Yeah, but oh my God. So now let's delve into this. Because talking about last week's episode, we were talking about how this is, what they should have done with David Rossi, right? Being the guy who caught Rachel Nichols' dad.
Yeah.
And how powerful that could have been.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, and then you said, well, they've got to do that with Luke this year. That was your response. And I was like, yeah, you're right. They have to do it with Luke. That's the way it's going to work. And then what are we watching? We're watching exactly what we described last week. The exact
show.
It's insane that the exact plot turn, right? And him demanding that Luke take responsibility and make sure his daughter doesn't end up like him. That's exactly what we were saying, like they would do if they were smart last week. It's crazy. But they're making all the right moves.
Yeah, and we might be biased, but
I mean, you can say we're biased because they're doing exactly what we want them to do. But fundamentally, I think these are just the right choices for the characters.
They are the right choices for the characters. And, and we had nothing to do with it.
Of course not.
Because this is all in the can long before we watch it. Right?
Well, but the thing is, we talked about how Sicarius, right, is them making good on the conspiracy serial killer organization they had tried to do multiple times before and always failed at. So it's like they're looking to make good on stuff they've screwed up in the past. And it really does seem like with Holly, they might be trying to make good on the potential that they had with the Rachel Nichols character.
Yeah.
That they never got a chance to, they never got a chance to explore.
Remember how sorry we were for Rachel Nichols?
Oh.
Such
getting
a
dropped into this
season.
Yeah, an incredibly screwed up season, because the network had forced her on them, basically, from everything we've heard, and demanded they get rid of JJ. And I mean, it's like, that ain't what the fans want.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, no, but it's like, that character never had a chance to live up to its potential for reasons that have been well explained elsewhere that we don't have to go over here. And it looks like they may actually have a chance to do right by the premise of that character. And that's so exciting.
Oh, yeah. You can see what excites us.
Well,
Getting
yeah,
it right. Getting it right. Turning this into the show we always wanted it to be.
It is. No, but it's like those scenes with him and right with those scenes with him and with Luke and Voight.
Voight, and with Voight saying, but you have to do something for Holly because you know what she's going to become. And then Luke just sits there and says, and then I'll kill her.
We'll capture her, but no.
No. Well,
no, he says we'll get her like we got you.
Yeah, we'll get her like
so that's not a murder threat.
Excuse me.
But the point is, like, he's threatening, and it's like, Jesus Christ, Luke. Like, he is giving you an opportunity here. And you can say the opportunity is another scam that he's pulling, but he is showing you a weakness. Okay, this is your moment to start exploiting it, Luke. But Luke does. You got to dig in, and he does finally. But his first instinct.
I think this was deliberate on Luke's part,
threatening him first. I could see that.
Because remember that Voight is the predominant manipulator. We will get to that when we get to the end of this show.
Oh my God, yeah.
Where it is pretty funny. Voight's
very funny. The end of this
Voight
episode.
Goes, am I that predictable?
I know.
Yep, Voight, you are, and they are beginning to understand you. But I think Luke, because he starts that way, and you go, Luke, what are you doing? And then he just takes it around.
Yeah, he manages to turn it around.
Yeah, and because now you don't believe Voight.
Yeah.
Right. Nobody would believe Voight, but Voight says, if you get my daughter help, I will promise to be, I will
help. Yeah. I will give you everything you need.
Not only will I help, but I will confess to being Sicarius.
Yeah. He floats that idea. He says that he will quote unquote lie and say I'm Sicarius. You've just got to get her help.
Yeah. And
that's an interesting turn.
But the point is that you can't believe him.
No, of course not.
Because if he really wanted help for his daughter, he would confess right away.
Yeah. No. He's always working an angle. You're absolutely right.
He's always playing an angle. And I think that Luke did it right. I think what he did with JJ was screwed up. But here...
No, this one he played correctly. You're absolutely right.
Correctly. And I think that he at least understands that Sicarius... You can't mollycoddle him. You can't give him what he wants. Not really. You can't.
He will find a way to use it against you.
About anything. And this goes to the fact that he is trying to deny that Lee Duval ever existed.
Yeah. No, it's fascinating what they're doing with these characters.
It is the character
work being done this season is the best character work they've ever done.
Yeah.
And if they find a way to take Holly and do the Rachel Nichols story with her, oh my God.
Well, they'd have to last a lot longer. She's only 15.
Do you think the show's going anywhere? I don't think the show's going anywhere.
No, because
it's the best they've ever done. They got renewed for a third season before the second season started airing.
Which means that they would have shown it to their focus groups, and their focus groups are obviously loving it.
Well, no, but beyond focus groups, it means that there are regions all around the world who were happy to purchase another season sight unseen.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It means that they were able to sell this thing everywhere.
Yep.
And that's fantastic.
And we have, and our podcast has fans everywhere
as a consequence. God, I'm so embarrassed. I should have written it down. There was some really obvious product placement. Where was the really obvious product placement? There was like some
I don't
weird...
even notice it anymore.
No, I know. I mean, it's not Criminal Minds Korea product placement where they're talking about all of the features that this car has, or Vincenzo product placement where everyone keeps talking about this caffeinated chocolates and how great caffeinated chocolate is. But no, it's not that bad. But there's some pretty obvious product placement that I'm trying to. I will check and I will include it in my write up. But yeah, one thing though, and I'm gonna be petty for a second. Okay. I left it to the end because it's unbelievably petty. But Emily says Void always manages to take 2 pair and turn it into an inside straight. That's gibberish. No, you're describing gibberish. Okay, so no, I'll have to tell people what an inside straight is in case you don't know poker. An inside straight is that I'm just going to use random numbers. You have 5, 6, 8, 9. Now, a 5, 6, 8, 9 king in your hand. Yeah. Now, if you had 5, 6, 7, 8 in your hand and a king, 5, 6, okay, I was doing the math right. 5, 6, 7, 8 in your hand, you would, and a king, you would say, screw it, I'll throw away the king, and that way there's 8 cards. Yeah. There are 8 cards left in that deck that can get me a straight. I can get the 4 or I can get the 9, right? And either way, I've got the straight.
Yeah.
But an inside straight is when you are 3, 4, 6, 7, and you're drawing for the 5. There's only 4 cards that can get you the 5.
Yeah.
But if you've got a pair of 2s, there is no way to turn that into a straight. Let alone an inside, as an inside straight isn't a hand, it's the lack of a hand. It's what you have to draw in draw poker, or indeed in a terrible game of Hold'em, a very bad kind of poker. Right?
We don't like Texas Hold'em.
No, it's not interesting. The line was, somehow he manages to take a pair of 2s and turn it into a full house.
Okay,
that is the best.
That would be 3. Then
exactly.
Would get 3 of a kind.
Exactly. You would throw away 2 of your cards or 3 of your cards and wind up with a 3 of a kind on top of your 2 pair. And spoiler alert, full house better than a straight.
Yes.
So like it's the best possible hand you can end up with, other than 4 of a kind, if you start with a pair of 2s. So there you go.
Now it's not exactly gibberish. She might be saying he's magic.
No, right? But an inside straight isn't a good thing to have. Though an inside straight is one of the worst things to have because you have only like 4 cards in the entire deck that you can draw to get it. It's a guard. You don't want an inside straight. That's why it's gibberish. She's saying and turns it into an inside straight. No, an inside straight is a bad thing. That's why the term in poker is never draw to an inside straight.
Well, yes, that's exactly it. Never draw to. Yeah, no, I understand.
Yeah, no,
never mind.
Is a
I
gibberish
understand what you're saying.
Yes. No, she should have said he somehow he always manages to turn a pair of 2s into a full house. That's the line, right? That's the line that expresses what she is trying to say.
A pair of 2s and 3 aces. If you really want to get it
but you don't have to say that because a full house is such a good hand that it's almost unbeatable.
Yeah.
Like you need a straight flush to beat a full house.
Yeah.
Like a full house is one of the best hands in poker.
And a straight flush is you have to have everything of the same suit.
And in order. Exactly.
Yes.
Like straight flush or 4 of a kind are the only things that can beat a full house.
Then there's the royal flush.
Well, yeah, but that's just the highest possible straight flush.
Yes.
Yeah. And we love poker is the point. We're big fans of poker, which is why we hate Texas Hold'em, which is a poker watcher's game, not a poker player's game.
Yeah.
That's why Texas Hold'em became so popular. It's because it's the only version of poker that's entertaining to watch, but it sucks to play because there's so many cards in play that you know what all the odds are. Mm-hmm. There's no mystery to it. There's no real interesting bluffing. Anyway, the only thing better that's better for watching is stud poker. But that one's not fun to watch because like it's so hard to have a good hand in stud poker, and everyone knows, right? Like you will go for an hour in stud poker before like 2 people both have a good hand. Like most stud poker matches end really fast because everyone can see that you just got nothing.
Yeah. Throw it in.
Really fun to play. Not fun to,
Anyway.
But it takes forever to play.
We'll get to, so what happens? So we've had Luke, and then we have, let's get back, because I do have to be at work in 40 minutes.
Let's finish this up. Okay.
So what happens is, though, that JJ sits with Holly.
Oh, I love this scene.
And that is also just a stunning piece of writing too.
About whether you can get through this.
She says, no, but, and it's how it begins. Well, why did you attack your father? Yeah. I didn't attack my father.
I know.
What do you mean? Well, walk me through this. No, I wanted to kill him.
So good.
I wanted to kill him.
Yeah.
And then she explains how she knew he was a serial killer. She had heard them. And then she tells this just heart-wrenching story about
again that literally could have been the Rachel Nichols character.
Yes, okay.
About her inability to make in her mind how the father she loved her entire life could possibly also be a monster.
Yes. That's exactly
how,
and
like,
she
these
tells
two
the story
things can't exist in her mind simultaneously, and the only way to reconcile it was violence.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah. Because she wanted to kill the serial killer. She didn't want to kill the dad.
Her father. Yeah. And if she could kill the serial killer, then it would protect her mother, and she could just have the memories of her dad left.
Yes. And her mother.
That was a fantastic scene.
Yeah. Because she starts it by talking about how her mother cries herself to not to sleep at night.
Exactly.
You know,
she's up all night
how her
weeping
mother
and
fell
she
asleep
can't function
behind the wheel of a car when they were at a stop sign or at a stoplight. You know?
Yeah.
And so
wow.
it is emotionally wrenching.
Yep.
And so then we get back to the end, like when they're talking, they finally have figured out what gold star is these kids who were abused in this home. They don't know the details because, of course, everything at the home was burned. They have no records whatsoever of what went on at the home. I suspect it was a government plot in somewhere.
No, if it wasn't a government plot, why would Bailey have already been read in on it?
That's exactly what I was going to go, because it's the only way that this had to have been a government-run school that was doing some kind of crap to these kids.
Yep.
And now these kids have turned on. They probably don't even know that it was a government plot.
Probably
so
not.
Anyway, you know, but that's where we think this is going to kind of go. And
that's what it feels like anyway.
Well, yeah, they're going to, because we already know what the CIA did in places like Montreal, at the Clark Institute and the Allen Institute in Canada.
There was this school called McGill. And at McGill, there were a bunch of experimental professors who decided they were going to see if you could destroy someone's personality. And all of that
was funded by the CIA.
Funded by the CIA through a program called MK Ultra. And you may ask, was MK Ultra a real thing, or was it just conspiracy nonsense?
No, it's a real thing.
It was a real thing. And here's a fun thing about MK Ultra. When the church committee was going to start really investigating the CIA's evil stuff, the guys who ran MK Ultra destroyed up to 80% of the files on what MK Ultra did. What they did. And the 20% we know is some of the most horrific stuff you can imagine.
Yeah, I knew.
And that's the 20% we know about.
Yeah, who'd spent time at the Allen Institute. I mean, this is in the late 60s when we didn't know anything.
No, the church committee hadn't happened yet.
He was just anyway. I can't even talk about it. And his name was Allen. But
really?
Of all things. But that was the Allen Institute. The Clark Institute did some of these things at U of T, or the attached psychiatric hospital. I had a girlfriend who actually spent some time there, and God only knows. She was never the same when she came out.
Yeah.
So
the experiments they did on people.
Now you're going, holy shit, what did they do?
You now know what happened. Exactly.
We used to think it was just electric shock and stuff, and now it looks like it was all sorts of drug stuff and worse. Yeah. So I think that's got to be what they're doing with the Stewart School.
It wouldn't shock me at all.
Okay, with these kids, and except that it obviously was resurrected because these kids are all in their late 20s.
Yeah, yeah. The girl's 27. Damien looks around to be around the same age. The guy got shot the other week. They all look to be around that age.
Yeah. So, we're looking at that. So they discover, so they talk about that, and then but they need to contact, as Emily says, we need to contact Damien, and the only way to contact Damien
by getting Voight to do it
is by getting Voight to do it.
Oh no, I'm so excited.
So she goes, and that is how we end, right? She goes to see Voight, and she tells him, and then he starts, right?
Yeah.
He starts to say, well, I'm going to need, she says, I know you're going to need this and you're going to need that.
I know.
And she opens the door and, and she's already got it all planned. She knows exactly what he's going to ask for.
Yep.
And that's when he says, am I that predictable? And she just looks at him. Right?
Of course you are.
And the guys come in, they take him. And this actually is a good ploy on the part of Emily to have figured out what he wanted ahead of time and to already have it well prepared, because that is going to put questions in his own brain about whether or not he can beat the team.
Yeah. Oh no, it's absolutely the right thing for her to do. It's so smart. He's had them on back foot the entire time. Yeah,
he's felt that he could get anything he wanted, and Emily gives it to him before he even asks for it, because he's so.
And now he's got to wonder, do they have moves that I don't know about? Yeah. Oh, such a good scene.
Yeah, it was such so a good scene to end the
end the episode on. Yeah, I gotta say though, the thing that I find so funny is it's just like, for all of the characters like openly, poo-pooing the idea of conspiracies, for them to like even bring up. I mean, maybe they're not going to go down the route of MK Ultra and all this, but like, to raise the specter of it is so crazy.
Well, somebody did say that this season was going to be crazy.
Yeah, I know. But it's like, because here's the thing. Like, many conspiracies didn't happen. Pizzagate wasn't real. But MK Ultra was. The CIA running brothels all over California to get blackmail on people and to do drug experiments on people. That all actually happened. Like, there are plenty of real conspiracies, everybody.
Well, yeah, the thing is that
I advise you to look into the entire last 70 years of Central and South America if you'd like to find out about conspiracies that the American government was involved in.
Oh,
the CIA would never kill a president. That's most of what the CIA does. Like, killing presidents is their day job.
What they did? Oh God! I mean, well, Henry Kissinger was such a brilliant sociopath.
He was. He was a fascinating monster, that Henry Kissinger.
Yeah,
he's as bad as they come, and we're all very happy he's dead. All right. All right. So we are going to call it here, but top-notch episode. And the thing is, you didn't even need
every part of it.
You don't need a killer of the week. Like, they can get away. Like, the character stuff they're doing, the plot stuff they're doing is so compelling.
Yep.
Right? That you don't need a killer in the week. And unlike so many shows don't know how to do 10 episodes of television, because it just feels like you're watching a movie that they've awkwardly stretched out. I'm looking at you with a TV show shooter.
Yeah. We have, and this is so much more like Those Who Kill.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
For sure. This is great. They're doing it. The stuff that we questioned, like, because last week it still looked like they were doing Killers of the Week.
Yep.
And then all of a sudden this week we get the Killers of the Week.
It's all tied in.
It turns out,
and it turns out the week 2 Killer of the Week retroactively tied in.
Yes.
Oh,
it's fascinating. I'm loving it. I'm just loving this.
Mm-hmm.
But this
it's
episode,
fantastic.
Sure, they've done it. This gives me. This is the same as when we were doing episode 5 of Those Who Kill. You guys haven't heard that yet. You'll be hearing.
You'll hear it soon enough at the end of the summer. But it's like you watch it and you're so pissed you can't watch the rest of the season.
Yeah.
Like, this episode, the end of this episode promises something so interesting that you're pissed we have to wait for like weeks and weeks and weeks to watch it. Which, spoiler alert, I think is exactly where the people running the show want us. They have us exactly where they want us.
And this is
way to go.
But this is good, because I am so glad this is week by week, because if it wasn't, we would have watched the whole thing, and that
already
you wouldn't get our immediate reaction and then our wondering about what's going to go on next and all the rest of it, because we wouldn't have been able to stop, or we would have had to force ourselves to watch one episode, do a podcast, one episode, do a podcast.
I know that would have been a hectic week. That would have been a hectic week. All right, so
10 days straight.
I know, right?
Days. Yeah.
Oh, we would have done more than one in a day. There would have been a day where we did like 2 in a day. Are you kidding me?
Yes. And then
all right, so we're going to wrap it up here. Thank you so much for listening. If you have any questions, if you have any comments, if there's any profiling related fiction you want us to check out after we're done with Those Who Kill, drop us line at profilingcriminalminds@gmail.com. We would love to hear from you. If you're listening on an app or podcatcher, please rate, review, and subscribe to it, because that's how people find out about the show. We're going to be back here next week for the episode we can't wait for. At long last, Voight is in the office on the team. Oh my God. It's going to be great. But
with
until
his
then,
bodyguards.
I know. But until then, we'll say that's right. Au revoir.
And I'm off to Tim Hortons to buy supper.
Woo!
Have a good week.